I am just going to have like the rawest and the realest conversation with you, or conversation with myself, and knowing that you're listening. And it's like silly that I even have to say I'm going to be raw and real. Like, shouldn't we always be raw and real? You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, man, adulthood it can be so challenging, and staying truthful, like staying authentic can feel really tough. And I don't mean that in a way of like the way that you're probably thinking about it. I want to share like some personal things because I do think me opening up about this might be helpful for at least one person who listens to this. And also I'm like devoting myself to this podcast in a way that I've never devoted myself to anything before. And I want to just be the rawest version of myself. And I want to share in real time the things that I'm navigating, the things that I'm working through, and the way that I hold perspective on different pieces of my life. Because one thing that I do love about myself is I work very hard on like being a whole woman. And what that means to me is like having this well-rounded approach to life where I'm living this rich meaning and rich purpose and rich mission driven life, but also like I feel light and I feel joyful, and majority of the time I do feel those things, and I don't take life so seriously anymore, and I think I used to, and it was really tough for me. And all the while I've made it this far and I've developed these skills up to this point. It's like this shit never ends. Like there's always going to be a new level, and when you get to that new level, like you face a new challenge, like new level, new devil, whatever you want to call it. And all of these things I want to share with you because it's insane how much this part of our life where we have these emotional feelings and we go through these roller coasters, and we're trying to navigate life, and we're trying to be happy, and we're trying to make money, and we're trying to take care of our family, and we're trying to be healthy, and all these things, like all of this bleeds into our business. And at the end of the day, my business has become an extension of me. So if where I'm at emotionally, spiritually, like all the things that you can't see, if where I'm at isn't super healthy, if it's not healthy, then my business is not healthy. And this is like the unspoken energy that it's really hard to coach. It's really hard to teach, because if you're not willing to be extremely open, and sometimes it's not even like it's a matter of willingness. Sometimes, for me at least, when it comes to being vulnerable, I'm not sure that I'm totally vulnerable with myself. So for someone to ask me to get vulnerable with them, whether that's a coach or a mentor, which to be honest, I've never had a coach or a mentor ask me to do that, which I wish they did. I do that for my clients. Like I would rather you almost like offend me. Like this, the way that I approach my clients is like, I'm going to not judge you, but I'm going to assume a story based off of the way that you're moving. And you're welcome to tell me where I'm wrong in that story. But I want to work through why that story is coming up, because it's the way that you're portraying yourself. It's the way that you're showcasing your energy. And let's work through what is at the core, what's at the source of that. Anyway, back to me. I yesterday, this is all coming from yesterday. Yesterday, I enrolled myself back into therapy, and it was like really tough for me because I have been in and out of therapy since I was 19, because something happened in my life when I was 19, and I needed to really like, I needed help like professionally, and I needed support. And so I've been in and out of therapy since I was 19, and I would say like I've never been in therapy consistently for more than, I don't know, a year, I would say. And I've also been in couples therapy, like with my husband. Before we got married, we were in couples therapy. Highly, highly, highly recommend, by the way. That just like totally strengthened our communication. And one thing that I feel called to say, I'm not sure if you're listening to this and you feel some type of way, but you getting therapy, you getting support doesn't mean you're broken. Like you don't have to label yourself as like, I'm broken, I need help. That's not the way I think about it. The way I think about it is like, I have so much on my plate. I would love like some professional support to help me lighten the load, really is how it feels. So I checked into therapy basically yesterday, and I had a choice of like scheduling a couple weeks out. And as you know, Turn Up Conference is next week. And I also have like a lot of things going on with work and all like my personal life and all that stuff. So I could have easily said, I'm going to start therapy after conference ends. I feel like I'll be in a better place. And then I thought to myself, like, actually, no, I'm going to schedule therapy for this week. So I have therapy on Thursday, and I'm going to be very honest with you, I'm dreading it. But I was like, you know what? I'm not like a pussy ass bitch. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to do this because this is more important than like just getting my work done. Like if I have to slow down for 45 minutes to get on therapy, like that needs to be prioritized. So I scheduled therapy for Thursday, and I'll tell you why I'm dreading it. I have experienced therapy so many times where I am starting to develop this belief around therapy that yes, I think there is a time and a place for it. I think it's very important, but part of what therapy has felt like to me in the past is like digging up things that have happened to me retrospectively, like in my past, digging them up and like experiencing them again. And at some point to me, that doesn't feel like progression. Whereas I know like a life coach would more so focus on like the present and the future. So I've considered like, do I need a life coach? But I'm at this moment right now where I'm like, I actually do need to face some things that have been going on in my life in my recent past. And I need to heal those parts of me. And the only way to heal them is to face them. So as much as I'm like, man, this therapy session is going to feel hard. A lot of what also feels hard to me in therapy is like, how do I tell someone my entire life? Like, how do I tell all of my problems and like get the full picture in an hour? You know what I mean? It's like, how do I do that? But I'm willing to give it my all. And I'm willing to like, I'm going to tell this bitch, and I don't even know who she is. This is a new therapist for me, but I'm going to tell her all the shit that I'm dealing with. I filled out my form, which is like a precursor to going into therapy, and it took me an hour, which normally I would like give the bare minimum. I gave all the juice in my form. Like I told all the things that are going on, which is multiple different scenarios. And I do want to tell you a couple of them because I think it'll put into perspective like let me just share. So in the last year, I have gone through IVF 4 times, IVF stimulation, and I've had 3 egg retrievals. So I started my very first round of IVF in August of last year. But if you back up to April of last year, that was when I got the call. I can remember this so vividly. Like we were sitting on the beach, my husband and I got the call that my husband actually has a Y chromosome. It's called Y chromosome microdeletion. And what that basically means is like it's nearly impossible. It is impossible is what they say. I don't ever believe like things are always impossible. Like I believe in miracles. Anywho, it's basically impossible to conceive naturally. Okay. So the only option for us was IVF. And so we started IVF immediately after we heard that. Like April to August, when in the world of IVF, is pretty quick. Like things don't move quickly in this fertility world, which is also part of the challenge. Anyway, we had our first round of IVF, and when we got our embryos back, which we ended up making 4 embryos, only one of the embryos turned out to be viable, which means we could only have used 1 embryo. All the other 3 embryos were showing a consistent theme of chromosome defect. And so at that point, my husband had been through all of the DNA testing, all of the genetic testing. So it was a maternal defect, which means me, I'm the mom. And what that meant was I had to go through genetic counseling. And what I found out was I have what is called a balanced translocation. And I'm trying to like not get too sciencey on you, but basically part of my DNA swapped places. So we have, a set of chromosomes. 2 of my chromosomes swapped places perfectly. But when I go to create like babies, offspring, sometimes those chromosomes don't transfer over perfectly. They like are missing pieces, whatever. So if you don't have your full set of DNA, like if these embryos don't have their full set of DNA from me, then there will be like crazy defects, crazy disorders, like just not quality life. So they don't even give you the option to keep these embryos. It's like they discard of them because it's almost inhumane if you were to try to transfer those embryos into your uterus, for example. All of that to say, I was in this rapid, like, gotta do another round, like just totally like, I think a lot of what we all do, but especially me, like one of my, I don't know, quirks, if you will, is like I stay in action because to me, like being a hustler and like producing, it allows me to feel like I'm moving forward, even though sometimes that's not always the correct next move. So I kept doing round after round after round. Like my body has gone through it in the last year. And so not just the emotional roller coaster of like realizing, holy crap, like I'm feeling very hopeless here, but also my body facing all these hormone injections and dealing with the ups and the downs. And then all of a sudden, it's March of 2025, and my husband's mom unexpectedly passes, like super unexpectedly. And my husband is 36. Like, this is way too young to lose your mom. And he was very, very close with his mom, like, very close. So, all of that was very tough, and it still is. Like, I think about her every single day. I could cry just like sharing about this. And I think what I've realized is like, fortunately, I haven't dealt with death in my life. Like I've had friends from high school or college like pass away, but I've never been faced with it so close like this. And I'm dealing with so much duality around that where I'm like, holy shit, like death is a real thing. Like this is fucked up. Like I can't believe people just die. Like I truly feel that way. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? You're telling me like that's just it? Like we can't call her? Like there's no, like she's not going to see him become a dad? Like just crazy to me. And then the duality of that is it's my job as a wife to be there for him. And he's in excruciating pain. I mean, honestly, like he's doing great. Like truly, my husband is the strongest man, like truly, that I have ever met. One day I'll have to bring him on and like you need to hear his story. His life has been wild and he just overcomes adversity after adversity. It's absolutely insane. All the while he's still like this happy, loving human being. But yes, being a wife to someone who just lost their mom unexpectedly, like that adds another layer of like, I got to be strong. So those are just two out of the things that I've been dealing with in the last year. A couple of the other things I am not ready. I don't know if I ever will be ready to share what else I've dealt with. But all of that to say, I'm sharing that with you and I'm being open about that because I've had this revelation. And this revelation literally just happened 2 days ago. That if you meet me, if you know me as a human being, like if you are already a friend of mine, you know that I'm a very positive person. Like I'm an optimist through and through. It runs in my blood. Like I'm always finding silver linings. I'm always trying to stay high. I'm always looking for the positive. But I've realized, although that's an amazing characteristic of mine, I let that blind me into the fact that I actually bypass feeling any negativity. And this is going to sound so silly, but like I put all of this into ChatGPT. Like I voice message, like here's what I'm recognizing in myself. Like I'm totally terrified of being negative. I'm terrified of feeling sad. I'm terrified of being angry. I'm terrified of judging people. I'm terrified of judging myself. Like I don't even allow those feelings to surface. I shove them down because I'm afraid that if I feel negative, that I will be punished somehow. I've been wired, and part of this is my own doing. Like I've brainwashed myself into believing that karma is a real thing and energy is a real thing, and what you think, what you feel, the way that you treat other people, the way that you exist in your own life is what you receive. So in my mind, I've had this story built up. And I will say, like, one thing I've started to pay attention to in all realms of life are like, what are the stories I'm telling myself? And when you don't think about it that way, you can't really get to the source of what you need to heal. But when you do realize like, oh, this is just a story. Like this isn't really the truth. I've been telling myself this story for decades that I have to stay positive or else like, I don't know, like I won't have a good life. And this story has built up into this massive habitual way of living. And now it's negatively impacting me. And it's like, I think I'm supposed to be learning this lesson for some overall purpose in my life, which whatever, I don't know if you believe in God or source or the universe. I believe in God. I believe in this like this deeper, I don't know, meaning, this higher energy that is showing us the parts of ourselves, the gaps that we have, so that we can step into our higher version of ourselves while we're here like physically on earth. And I believe this is my next challenge, is like getting to the root of this and just feeling like I can unlock this part of me. So anyway, back to ChatGPT. I put it into ChatGPT, and basically what ChatGPT told me, I'm going to try to like regurgitate this because it was a lot, but basically what ChatGPT told me was, okay, you are fearful of feeling negative, but if you're not allowing yourself to feel negative, there's no possible way that you can experience emotional honesty. And that was like, oh, wow. And I've studied frequencies, I've studied vibrations. Like, not only did I study quantum physics and literally physics, like all of that shit in college, I studied pre-med. So I had to go through all of those courses. I always found it fascinating. But also in my adulthood, I've studied like actual energetics as a human being. And I know that the highest frequency that we can hold is truth. It's authenticity. And true authenticity is not like you telling the world your story. True authenticity starts in your heart. It starts in your spirit. It starts inside of you. And if I'm constantly experiencing like emotional dishonesty and I'm not allowing myself to really feel what's going on, then I'm basically like using positivity as like a shield. And I'm not feeling my emotions fully. I'm policing them. And if I'm terrified of negativity because I feel like negativity might attract bad things or push people away, it's like, yeah, but I'm stuck. Like I'm jammed up inside. And I can't express myself at that point. I can't be so in tune with my own energy and thus create even more magic in my life. And when I tell you that this does make a direct impact on my business, I'm not even kidding. Like where you feel stuck in creating content, where you feel stuck in like momentum, if you're like feel like you're dried up of ideas, what's going on with you on the inside? Like what's going on with you emotionally? And if you've been like conditioned like I have been, and again, this is at nobody else's fault but mine. I did grow up with like my mom and my dad are some of the most enlightened people. Like I can remember from a young age, like when my parents separated when I was 2, we lived with my mom, but we saw my dad all the time. Like what an amazing way to grow up. Like they were very civil and they worked together so that we could see one another. Like we were we had a mom and a dad, but my mom had no money. Like we were almost evicted, I think like 3 times from my first home. And I can remember her taking time away from us to go to, I don't remember, it was called like Landmark or something like that. But it was like this personal development training. And she would go and spend time getting personally developed and coached. Like at this time, there was no social media. There was no online courses and groups and masterminds. Like she would take the initiative to go get trained. And like, I'm not even kidding you, at all times when we were in the car, Dr. Laura was playing. Do you guys remember Dr. Laura? Like my mom was fully entrenched in personal development at all times. So I'm sure like I had this conditioning from such a young age just from my mom alone, like stay high, be positive, like you can overcome anything, like be strong. And I'm sure I internalized that, which is nobody's fault, like I said, but I internalized that in a way of like, oh, don't let anything affect you negatively. Like don't be impacted negatively by anything. Become unfazed, become untouchable, become strong, which equals like don't be overly emotional, which all makes sense. But forcing the positivity, it's not actual like authentic gratitude. So if I'm like, okay, I got to stay grateful, like what do I like in all these moments of me going through hard shit in this last year, I kid you not, my very first knee-jerk reaction is like, okay, but what am I grateful for? Okay, but what do I have? Like a lot of people out there are suffering worse than me. Like I can't possibly spend time feeling down about this. And that's inauthentic gratitude. Because I'm going through bad things, maybe you're going through some hard times, like That's not taking away from other people experiencing something worse than you. Like, you're allowed to have your moment. And because I was trying so hard, or I've been trying so hard to avoid like negative emotion, it also doesn't make me high vibe. It makes me completely disconnected from the truth, completely disconnected, when all I'm craving is connection. Like, real, true positivity is actually resiliency. It's not being fragile. So I've had this like crazy breakthrough when over the weekend my husband asked me one question, and it was something in regards to, it had nothing to do with IVF, but it was something in regards to kids. And I was like literally like mopping my floors, which also hashtag OCD. Like, when I'm not feeling good, the first thing I do is clean everything. Like a deep clean solves all my problems on the surface. But I was like mopping or something. My husband asked me one question about a kid thing, like had nothing to do with anything. And I just started bawling. And I was like, I don't want to give up. Like I like I want to keep trying. Which has already been known. We're going to keep trying. I'm going to start IVF again in the fall. But I sat down and I'm like, what is this? Like, why can't I talk about IVF without crying? Like, I know IVF is hard. Like, it truly is. It's hard, especially when you have to go through it so many times. But why can't I talk about it without crying? And it's because I'm not allowing my emotional truth to come through. Always, like, trying to always be thankful and always be positive is a control strategy. And I am a control freak, like truly, in all aspects of my life. And underneath that fear is, if I truly let myself feel disappointed or angry or envious, or if I feel like the grief from it all, my story is that I will be bad. Like you're bad, like you are in trouble, or you're ungrateful, or you're entitled. And then I have this fear that those negative feelings might mean that I'm failing or potentially like unworthy. And no one wants to feel that shit. No one wants to feel that shit. And I worry that if like other people around me are negative. So right now I'm like super sensitive to negativity around me because I'm trying so hard to fight my own inner negativity. So I'm super sensitive to like anyone around me who even like shows an ounce of judgment towards someone else, or if I feel like they're being mean or like talking shit or gossiping, like any of that stuff, like I'm very sensitive to it because I think my inner like emotion, my inner story that I'm building up is like, if they're negative, it's going to rub off on me and prove something is wrong with me or something like that. I don't know. The thing is like, I'm sitting here coaching myself as I'm recording this podcast truly, but like gratitude is not a transaction. It's not like, okay, if I'm not grateful, then I'll lose everything. Like, that's not how it goes. It's not like if I don't keep the peace, then I won't be loved. I won't be safe. Like, my worth does not depend on my emotional state. The truth of all of this is like, feeling negative emotion doesn't actually make me a negative person. It makes me honest. Like, I'm having a human experience. And I'm allowed to feel grateful and disappointed, but they don't have to happen at the same time. I'm allowed to feel thankful and angry, but it's okay if I stay in anger first. Or it's okay if I'm like leaning onto anger a little bit longer than it feels comfortable. I can be positive and I can grieve at the same time. Like, these emotions don't manifest punishment. They actually reveal where the healing needs to occur. And if emotional truth, like emotional authenticity, is the most magnetic place we can be, then it's important for us to really stay in tune with what's going on and not shove it down out of fear of like being maybe like negative and then have to like slow down in life. Because that's also a part of my story is like, well, if I'm spending time being negative, if I'm spending time feeling angry and sad, how am I going to be a hustler? Like, how am I going to get into beast mode if I'm feeling those things? Like, I got to stay high vibe. But that pattern is actually costing me, and it's blowing up in my face. It's costing me like real connection. And I'm not even talking about connection with other people. It's costing me real connection with myself. I won't be able to heal the parts of me that I can't admit are there. And if I continuously shove down these feelings and I pretend like I'm okay, then it's going to cost me even bigger. It's going to continue to blow up until I figure it out. And my emotional safety with other people, like this is why I feel when I first started recording this episode with you guys, like I was like sweating. Now I feel like I'm kind of on a roll, like I'm having fun with this, which maybe that means I'm healing. Like healing doesn't have to take months or years. It can happen very quickly. That's another story, is like I sometimes am triggered by the word quote unquote heal. Isn't that silly? Like I don't know why that's even a thing, but I'm like, what is healing? You know what I mean? Like, but it's a thing. Like you have to heal. And sometimes it happens in a matter of seconds. And true peace, like what we're all seeking, like true peace, is not going to come from policing your thoughts. It's not going to come from being like constantly like vigilant. And growth can only happen when you transform what you refuse to feel. Like there are parts of you that you're like performing and you're putting on, and you're afraid to visit those pieces of you, like the darkness, the shadows. You're afraid to visit those places, but you can only grow once you visit there. And once you like, even just sometimes to me, I'm like, man, the whole overhaul of like, okay, not only do I have to like visit these dark places and see them for what they are, but then I have to do the work to heal it. Like that seems like a huge project that I don't have time for. But it's like sometimes just recognizing what the truth of what's going on is, that's healing in itself. Like there isn't a lot of work to be done past that point. It's just like the art of getting to know yourself can be healing in itself. And the pattern to embrace versus continuing to let this story build is getting radically emotionally honest. No sugarcoating, like no spiritual bypassing, no like shaming yourself for having a freaking human experience. Like I've had some hard shit happen. I'm allowed to be sad. I should be sad. Not I should. I actually hate the word should. But I should be. Goodness, I just said it again. I should, oh my gosh. I will, there we go. I will allow all of my feelings from this point forward, even when it feels tough. I'm not saying now it's going to be like this open gate and everything just flows perfectly and I'm healed and I'm fixed. But I dedicate this episode as the starting point to becoming truly safe for myself. And I know that once I do become a safe space for myself, that's when I become unshakable in the world. Man. So I thank you so much for listening to this episode and being here with me. And I just want you to know that if you felt anything during this episode where you're like, yeah, I think I recognize that in myself too. Or some people, like maybe you are very vulnerable, like you wear your heart on your sleeve, but is it actually the truth? Like, are you actually facing it, or are you just, what is your mechanism? What is your coping mechanism? And this isn't a show where I want you to like start digging. Maybe you have this part of you figured out. Maybe something else is your problem. Like, I don't know. Geez, we all have our shit, but this is like what I'm facing right now. And I do also feel like me being able to express this, and instead of like letting it build and build and build until I blow up, like that is definitely a common theme of mine in the past, is like I don't even let these feelings surface until they turn into a volcano. And it's not like I'm doing that on purpose. Like I truly realize now it's because I'm disconnected. Like I don't voice my feelings because I don't feel them. It's not like I'm holding back. If you know me, like I don't hold back in what I say. Like I'm very transparent. But if I'm not feeling them, then how can I possibly vocalize them? So I want to recognize even just myself, like I've come a really long way. I love that I deeply want to get to know myself. I really love that about myself. I feel like this is taking a lot of courage, and I know that that's what's going to make me a better leader. I know that that's what's going to strengthen my love. I know that's what's going to make life better for me. And I don't think this is a matter of like bartering with the universe or bartering. Is that a word? Like with God. Like we are all worthy of every good thing, even if we feel angry or sad or scared or disappointed, maybe even ungrateful. Being a whole woman includes the lightness, the darkness, the shadows, everything in between. Or a whole man. Maybe you're a man listening to this. But I just want us to take away from this episode that we are allowed, this is our permission slip, to trust the full expression of what's happening in our heart and in our spirit. And that no matter what we're experiencing, it can't possibly destroy our dreams. Instead, it will actually unlock them. That the real version of us, like if we are going back to how I started the show and getting real and raw, and the reason that that's important is the real version of us isn't like this shiny, polite, expert, perfect achiever. That's not the real version of us. The real version of us is this raw, alive, real-time, honest, unstoppable version of who we are. Like I'm not putting on right now at all. I'm opening up to y'all. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of myself for being willing to see what's going on and then willing to share with you and you listening. And I'm proud of you for being able to like take a moment to check in with yourself. Now we have to keep this going. I will let you guys know how therapy goes. I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing day and cheers to just being bad bitches.